एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः। ॐ सहना भवतु।
ॐ सहना भवतु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
मा विद्विषावहै।
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
एक बहुत मूल्यवान उपदेश याद रखना कि हमेशा हम जब प्रार्थना करते हैं तो सोचते हैं कि भगवान कहीं बैठे हैं, उनको सोचकर हम प्रार्थना करते हैं। लेकिन ये सब हम बोलते हैं सेल्फ एड्रेस्ड प्रेयर। मीन्स it depends on the prayer, the result of the prayer will depend on our application of mind and emotion. Whether God is there or not, it hardly matters. It doesn't matter at all. That is, when we are saying that we should, whatever we do, let us do with courage. That commitment in the words we are expressing, that will work on our personality. When we are saying that may all what we study become brilliant. Brilliant how? When we follow whatever we are studying. By following it will become brilliant. So it is a commitment from our side we express through the words. When we chant like that with full emotional content, with full emotional association, meaning association, bhava association, then the prayers will become efficient. They will transform our personality. So it is not addressed to a God outside. It is addressed to ourselves, to our own mind. And the result depends on with what commitment we are praying. Saha viryam karavavahai. Now, people may think that virya means with lot of enthusiasm or courage or so. That real courage, our Upanishad says in Kathopanishad, Atmana vindate viryam. Atmana vindate viryam. The real courage comes from our own soul within. When we are working in tune, when we are living in tune with our soul, then we do whatever we do it with straightforwardness, courage. There is no fear, nothing at all. That is the role of viveka buddhi. The viveka we say, the viveka connects us always to through the intelligence, the viveka connects us to our soul. And whatever the viveka says, if we do that, then we will not have any repentation, we will not have any fear at all. Whatever comes, we will face it, we will course through it, and that will enrich us. That is the viveka. That is what we do by getting anchored in the soul. Atmana vindate viryam. The shloka is pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. It's a very famous shloka of Kathopanishad. He says, pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. When we will know the truth in every perception. Pratibodha. Bodha means perception. कुछ भी बोध हो उसमें वो हैं, उनके बिना, कॉन्शियसनेस के बिना, चेतन चित्त के बिना कोई भी अनुभव नहीं हो सकता है। कुछ भी हम बोध, कुछ भी perception, whatever perception we are having, without the consciousness, can we have that perception? Anything that has to appear, it has to appear in our consciousness. But because our focus is on what is revealed by the consciousness, we miss the consciousness. This is very important. Whatever we are seeing, it is appearing in the consciousness. But our focus is always on limited, small things. That what is revealed is our focus. Suppose in thought also, the mother's thought appears. In the thought that it is consciousness, their mother has appeared. But we are immediately focused on the mother. We are interested in that. So we miss the substance of the mother, the consciousness. Are you able to understand? This is the crux of the matter. When we know this truth, then all perception becomes written on the consciousness. And then we don't have any problem. Amritatvam hi vindate. Then we understand that all the changes are taking place in the universe, in the world, in our life, in our activities. All those changes are just like waves in the consciousness. But we are the consciousness. So are we not Amrita then, immortal then? It is just this understanding and actualization of this truth, that everything is consciousness, which makes us immortal. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. The real virya comes from our anchorage in the Atma. And where from immortality comes? From the knowledge. Vidyaya means from the knowledge, by the knowledge the immortality dawns. So we should not forget the whole Upanishad is based on two questions of Nachiketa. The first question is all have that questions. Everybody asks that when the body falls, what happens? Is there anything remaining or nothing? So that is a very common question. Everybody would have that question. When the body falls, what happens? But Nachiketa, in his first question itself, he has expressed that he knows that it is not a very common question. The answer is not yes or no. To understand, one has to undergo a lot of tapasya or discipline for that. So after whatever test Yamaraja did for him, to test whether he is still attracted by the plus and minus, by the enjoyments of the world, or repelled by the difficulties of the world. We are always suffering from raga and dvesha. Raga means whatever we like, clinging to that, and dvesha means whatever we do not like, we hate that. So Nachiketa, by his behavior, he has proved that he is free of this raga and dvesha. Understanding that, when Yamaraja was giving him upadesha, that how a real wise person will live his life, that was not so important for Nachiketa, because he was already living like that. So, and not only that, when Yamaraja brought everything, he said that all these are short-lived. And you are giving a long life to enjoy. Nobody is satisfied with any length of time. This alpam, I said, it's very important, the alpam word. It is not short. It is insufficient. So for everybody, life is insufficient. So whatever the span of life, be it 50 years or 500 years, if the desires are not over, still we are looking for something outside to become happy, then he would not like to die, that he will be still clinging to life. This is the crux of the problem. Why we have difficulty in realizing the truth or living a cheerful life? Because right from birth, we have the idea that something from outside will make me happy. Why? We are born with this insufficiency. It is nature who has created us with a feeling of insufficiency, abhava bodha. In Sanskrit we call it abhava bodha, insufficiency. And we think that that insufficiency will go by getting something from outside. That is why we always look for happiness from something outside. Initially it might be milk, might be some fruit, might be some game, football or anything. Then it goes on changing. As we grow in age, It goes on changing. Finally, when the whole life is done, more or less, then we think that by getting God or self-realization, I will become happy. So all the desires go on changing. And finally, self-realization is also a desire there. Desire that by getting that I will become happy. There also there is a delusion. So because we feel that we are not happy, we are born with an insufficiency, we think that something from outside will make me happy. The day we will do enough of vichara, that is why vichara is extremely important. Vichara is the most important thing. Because it is not enough if you understand. You have to analyze all the events of life, everything happening in life through viveka buddhi. Vasishtha Deva says, vichara tishnatametya dhihi pashyati param padam dirgha samsara rogasya vicharohi mahaushadam. That by vichara, what happens? Our buddhi becomes sharpened. It is not the mathematician's sharp buddhi. The buddhi becomes pure. The mind, as it becomes pure, the buddhi is able to see where lies the ultimate goal of life, how we can become permanently free of this insufficiency, how we can become fulfilled. It becomes clearer and clearer to the buddhi. So as the buddhi becomes clearer, you don't have to think in taking a step. Whatever to be done in life, you will automatically know. That is the sharpness of a knower's buddhi. That you will be able to determine what to do, what not to do, because which will take us to the final goal. According to that, he will take the step. So, that buddhi actually gets refined, subtle. It starts understanding the transcendental truth. So, dhihi pashyati param padam. The buddhi doesn't see with the eyes. It is not like that. But the buddhi sees the subtle truth. We call it ikshana. The vision of Buddha in Bhagavad Gita will find repeatedly used. Ikshana. Ikshana means the vision of buddhi. It's not the outer vision. It's the inner vision. And that is why the dirgha samsara rogasya vicharohi mahushadam. That samsara means samyak sarati iti samsara, means always fleeting. That we are clinging to this fleeting universe, fleeting objects, fleeting relationship, fleeting desires, thinking that I will become happy by getting something. That is the samsara, the delusion about the world. Samsara is not the world. Even for the knower also the world remains as it is. It is the delusion we are suffering from. That is the samsara. That thinking that the fleeting world will remain with me, will always go with me. Fleeting objects, the fleeting relationships, they are permanent. In clinging to that is the delusion. So the mahaushadha for that, the great medicine for that is only vichara. Vichara means evaluation. Suppose we are calling God supreme. Everybody says God is supreme. But we have to analyze and think, do vichara, that have I given God the supreme position in life? You will find that we have given him the last position. Even we say self-realization of self. Have I given the self the supreme position in life? You will find we have given him the last position. और सब कुछ होके अगर समय रह गया तो थोड़ा मेडिटेट कर लिया या पढ़ लिया. पहले तो शादी देखना है, पहले तो बाजार जाना है, पहले तो खाना है. कोई एक भी दिन नहाना बंद नहीं होगा, खाना बंद नहीं होगा, लेकिन ध्याना बंद होगा हमेशा. So we have given God or the ultimate truth the last position in life. So vichara will tell us the highest, giving him the supreme position means what? Whatever happens in life, I will not move from that. I will not go to an astrologer to see what is before me. I will not go to the temple to pray before the God that take away my difficulties. I will only stick to the ultimate truth, that may I course through all the difficulties without any fear or any clinging or any hatred. Let me course through all that is coming in life, the life, whatever it brings. Through that, I should become enriched, coursing through that. So vichara will tell us where I am going wrong. That vichara will make our buddhi subtle, the mind pure. Through that we will progress. So Nachiketa understood that this question cannot be replied like that. It needs evaluation. What is the greatest thing? What are the important things? And that can be done best remaining in the company of a guru. A guru is necessary to guide us because here the path we don't know. So he said that etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham. By following your shasana, by following your discipline, I would like to know the truth of it. Now later on we find that this, whatever he had mentioned there, Nachiketa's knowledge was much more than that. He had understood that in this world we cannot get God at all. God is not an object which we can see or we can know as different from us. This truth we have to understand very well, because always we think God is something different, and in meditation we think that one day God will arise. Now whatever God we see in meditation or non-meditation, I have to see the God, then God is an object before me. May not be a solid object, may be a subtle object, but I am the seer who is seeing the God. Even if you think that self one day I will discover as something in meditation, oh, I have discovered the self, this is the self, then it is not the self. That I is the self who is revealing whatever I am seeing, whatever I am feeling. That revealed part is part of the world. The revealer is the self. Do you understand this? This is the only one thing to be understood. If we understand that and do vichara on that, everything will be clear. Why are we not being able to be successful in meditation? Because this always looking for something external, it doesn't go. Because from birth we have been doing it. So always this tendency to look for something different from me. Outside means outside or inside, it doesn't matter. Something different from me, that I will know it as different from me. ये जो टेंडेंसी है हम अपने से कुछ अलग देखना, अलग को जानना, that is called the bhoga pravritti. Bhoga pravritti. Why? Because we don't know that the real enjoyment is in the soul. The real ananda is always oozing from the soul. It is always coming from the soul. Not knowing that, we always look for something outside and thinking that that will satisfy me. So in meditation also, what hinders the self? Because we think that I will know the self, I will know the self. As long as this effort is there, we are segregating the self from the real self. That means we are making the self non-self or wanting to see it. Am I clear? That is the greatest trouble. So, why are we failing? Because the bhoga pravritti doesn't go. You can say that it is only a scientific method. Can I not just be free and look into the self without looking for something external? You will not be able to, as long as your desires are there. As long as the mind is looking for enjoyment from the world, you will not be able to do. That is why they say that as long as the mithyatva of the world is not convinced, you will not have the full knowledge. Mithyatva means not that it is not existing, the delusion about it. As long as the bhoga pravritti is there, bhoga pravritti is not always object enjoyment. Suppose ego, that is also a bhoga pravritti. I am this, I am that, I know better, I know very well, this is the way I work. The others do not know. All these things are bhoga pravritti. If somebody appreciates you, we are very elated by that. If somebody depreciates, we are not happy about, we are depressed about it. All everywhere, either the ego is pumped up or the ego is shrunk. These are all bhoga pravritti, because of the bhoga pravritti, that we want something from outside. That is the basic trouble. Until we leave that tendency and say that I am not interested in anything of the world at all. I am not interested in gaining anything. I am not interested in self-realization also. I am full in me. Let whatever take place, I am not bothered about it. ऐसे जब जगत को पूर्ण रूप से विस्मरित हो जाते हैं. When we forget the whole world, world means world including my own personality, there we make mistake. We think that जगत को भूल गए हैं, हमें तो कोई थॉट नहीं. अरे आप में आपका थॉट तो है, कैसे जगत भूल गए हैं? आप तो जगत का ही एक प्रोडक्ट है. यू आर ए क्रिएटेड ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ द जगत. If you forget the jagat means you will forget your individual separateness also, that separate identity also. As long as we are not forgetting, how can I become the universal self, the man self, the transcendental self? It is not possible. Knowing that almost he might not have the full realization of it, that is why he is asking Yamaraja, but he had a very good understanding of it. Otherwise he would not be able to ask this question. That अन्यत्र धर्मात् अन्यत्र अधर्मात् अन्यत्र अस्मात् कृताकृतात् अन्यत्र भूताच्च भव्याच्च यत्तत् पश्यसि तद्वद. We have done it yesterday. That if you know anything which is beyond the codes of dharma and adharma, which is beyond the code, beyond the chain of causality, cause and effect chain, which is beyond time, past and future, you tell me about that. What is beyond that? Nothing in the world is beyond all these things. The whole universe is running with this causality, time and various codes, various limitations, fragmentations, etc. Only one thing is beyond that, that the whole universe is revealed where? In consciousness. We think that this consciousness is an evolute of the body, so it is also part of the universe. The scientists say, it is not. आप थोड़ा सोचिए कि जब आप आँख बंद कीजिए, मन में क्या क्या आ रहा है. It is inside you, it is operating in the mind. You are not deluded about it. Is it not so? You know that it is appearing in my mind. Now, when we are opening our eyes and seeing the world, unless it appears in the similar manner in our mind, will I see the world? The world has to appear in the consciousness within. Without that, we will not know. There are many things here, the subatomic and all, we are not knowing them because they are not appearing in our consciousness, we are not knowing. If they appear in our consciousness, we will know them also. So, actually we are interacting with whatever is appearing in our mind. Now go one step further. Now I am thinking that I am sitting here and I am seeing the world and the world is appearing in my mind. But what about my body-mind personality? Will I know it unless it appears in the consciousness? जैसे जगत, वैसा जगत का एक अंश है हमारा पर्सनैलिटी भी, व्यक्तित्व भी. वो अगर मन में प्रतिफलित या प्रकाशित ना होता तो हम अपने को नहीं जान पाते. अपने को मतलब बॉडी माइंड पर्सनैलिटी. सो what is happening is that in that image, in the consciousness, there is something called external to the body and something called internal to the body. This external and internal together is appearing in the consciousness. So हम बोल सकते हैं कि ये consciousness is within the mind. The body-mind personality is also appearing in the consciousness with the world. नहीं समझे? नहीं लग रहा? थोड़ा गंभीरता से सोचना चाहिए. See, as we are seeing the world, until it appears in our mind, we will not know the world. It will not appear before me. So what we are seeing actually is what is appearing in our chetana, in our mind, in our consciousness. That is what we are interacting with. Now I am going one step further. That my body-mind personality walking in this world is also part of the world. Unless this body-mind personality appears in the consciousness, we will not know. The egoistic I we know, the fragmented individuality I know of, that is also an appearance in the consciousness. So is not the whole thing appears in the consciousness? ये अगर सचमुच का पूरा एकदम रियलिटी बन जाए तो और कुछ करने का नहीं है. इसीलिए विचार चाहिए कि जब ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा तो समझ के इनिशियली वी हैव टू बार बार रिफ्लेक्ट करते 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 ये एक्चुअलाइज हो जाएगा. बुद्धि विल बिकम शार्पर शार्पर शार्पर. नाउ वी विल गो फॉरवर्ड. आई हैव गिवन द बेसिस on which everything will be built. Now he is saying in reply to Nachiketa that na jayate mriyate va vipaschit nayam kutaschit na babhuva kaschit ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. He says that vipaschit means the knower. In Bhagavad Gita, they are talking about the Atma. But whenever we are reading about the Atma, I am pretty sure that we consider Atma as different from the I. That we are knowing the philosophy of the Atma. Atma ये है, वो है, Atma कहीं नहीं जाता है. सभी सोचते हैं कि आत्मा वो हम है, ये सोच नहीं पाते. जब सोचेंगे तो ठीक हो जाएगा, लेकिन सोच नहीं पाते हैं. To take away that delusion, he has used the word vipaschit, means the jnani. Jnani never gets born, never gets die, never dies. What does it mean? That means that one who knows the truth, he identifies himself with the Atma, not with the limited personality which is taking birth and which is dying also. समझे ना? आत्मा के विषय बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन एक ज्ञानी के जब बोल रहे हैं, that Atma, the concept of the Atma, when a person realizes that, he becomes that, he identifies with that. He doesn't identify with the body-mind personality. More than that, he identifies with the universal soul. And the moment you identify with that, you think that the body has come, the body is growing, the body will undergo jara, it will fall one day, but nothing will happen to me. So he has already given the answer to Nachiketa's question right in the beginning. Nachiketa wanted to know what happens when the body falls. He says that for the jnani there is no birth, no death. And who is a jnani? Who knows the Atma? That is what remains, because it is everlasting, it is eternal. So, the body falls, Atma remains. That is why in another shloka he will say, whatever is in the other world is the same in this world. Other world means when the body falls, the religious belief is that he goes to another world. Now, another world जाके भी क्या होगा? वो जो आत्मा अनचेंजिंग अव्यय आत्मा जो है, वो तो ये वर्ल्ड में रहे या दूसरे वर्ल्ड में रहे, उसमें तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा ना. So whatever happens when the body falls to your real identity is now also it is that. So to know that your body doesn't have to fall. The body need not fall to know that after the body falls I will know what happened to me, where I am moving to another world, another body or not. ये आत्मा कहीं मूव करने वाला नहीं है, चलने वाला नहीं है. ये आत्मा यूनिवर्सल है, कभी हिलता भी नहीं, ये ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं है. ये है जो हमेशा हमें एक अहम फीलिंग देता है, हूँ फीलिंग देता है, वही है आत्मा. तो वो तो कभी कहीं भी चलने वाले नहीं है. तो उसको जानने के लिए आपकी बुद्धि चाहिए, आपका मन चाहिए. तो जानने के लिए यही अत्र ब्रह्म समश्नुते, यहाँ पे जानना चाहिए. जब आपका बॉडी माइंड बुद्धि सब कुछ है, वो गिर जाने से जानने का कोई सवाल भी नहीं है. जानना है बुद्धि में, मन में. जानना है क्या? कि आत्मा कभी जन्म भी नहीं हुआ है, मरण भी नहीं है, वो जैसा है वैसा ही रहेगा. शरीर आया है, शरीर गिरेगा. द होल वर्ल्ड हैज़ कम, द होल वर्ल्ड विल पेरिश. Every moment, every fraction of a millionth of a second also things are changing. Cause and effect change. Everywhere it is the cause and effect change. Millions of cells are dying every minute. Millions of cells are getting born. We don't come to know the change taking place in the body. Everywhere this causality. Nothing happens to the Atma at all. Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit. Then comes still more philosophical. नायम कुतश्चित न बभूव कश्चित. वो तो कॉजलेस है, क्योंकि दिस इज द अल्टीमेट ट्रूथ. देयर कैनॉट बी अनदर कॉज बिहाइंड दैट. सो वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट द अल्टीमेट ट्रूथ हैज़ टू बी कॉजलेस. जैसे हम सोचते हैं कि ब्रह्मा को भी बोलते हैं वो कॉजलेस कॉज है, क्योंकि ब्रह्मा इज एक्चुअली एन इमेजिनरी फिगर. बिकॉज वी वॉन्ट द कॉजलिटी, वी आर फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड वी आर गिवन टू कॉजलिटी. वी वॉन्ट दैट कॉजलिटी टू प्रोपगेट. We cannot go easily beyond causality. So at one point we have to terminate causality, otherwise as I said yesterday, it is infinite regression, कहीं भी नहीं पहुंचेंगे. Causality means B is the cause of A, C is the cause of B. ऐसे आप जितना भी दूर पहुंचे, what is the cause of Z? अगर आप ब्रह्मा तक पहुंचे कि ब्रह्मा ही उस जगत का सृष्टि किए हैं, जगत की सृष्टि किए हैं, तो ब्रह्मा को कौन जन्म दिया है? So artificially we are terminating Brahma, calling him Swayambhu. It is a religious concept because people will not be able to go beyond causality. So to satisfy them, we have created a Brahma who is Swayambhu. अपने आप जन्म लिया है. अपने आप जन्म लिया है मतलब क्या है? वो अगर जन्म में है तो उसका कॉजलिटी में फंस गए, मृत्यु भी होगी. इसीलिए बोला है कि एक एक कल्प के एक ब्रह्म है, फिर उसके बाद एक दूसरा ब्रह्म आएगा. दैट मीन्स इज इट परमानेंट? इट इज टेम्पररी. सो रिपीटेडली आवर शास्त्रास विल से दैट आ ब्रह्मस्तंभ पर्यंतम, राइट फ्रॉम ब्रह्मा up to the blade of grass, everything is kakavishtavat, like the excreta of the crow. Up from Brahma to the blade of grass. It doesn't make any difference. It is all in the fold of causality, in the change which is appearing in the consciousness. But the real truth has to go beyond consciousness, beyond causality. Otherwise, it will be again caught in the same changefulness. The permanence will not come. So if it is beyond causality, then can it produce something? Suppose I say that the consciousness is beyond causality, iska koi cause nahi hai. Then can it produce the world? If it produces, then it is related by causality again. We are saying this consciousness is the cause of the universe. Then again we will ask, what is the cause of the consciousness? So if it is causeless, then it cannot produce also anything. नायम कुतश्चित न बभूव कश्चित, ये तो कहीं से आया भी नहीं, कुछ कर भी नहीं सकता है. जगन्नाथ जैसा है, हाथ भी नहीं है, पैर भी नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है. That is why the question of vivarta srishti has come. This is our Indian spiritual concept. Anywhere in the world we don't have this concept. Everywhere the causality is parinama srishti, material creation. Parinama srishti means material creation. In the whole universe, when something is created, the previous thing is undergoing a change. Without that, nothing can happen. If the book is burnt, the ash will be produced, but the book will no longer be there. So we said that in consciousness, the world appears, which is not a parinama srishti. It is not the world is made with consciousness as a material, because consciousness is not in the objectude. It is not an object that we will know this is consciousness. Many people have that delusion that we will discover the consciousness. No, consciousness is that amness in us. You can never discover it as different from you. If anything you discover as different from you, that is an object before you. You, the amness in us, that is the consciousness. So, in Vivarta Srishti, that the whole universe appears in that consciousness. In English, it will be Parinama Srishti is material creation and Vivarta Srishti is apparential creation. We can call it apparential creation. Now this apparent creation will not follow that causality or time. That is why we say it is Brahma's sankalpa, or it is a sankalpa in the consciousness itself. Mundaka Upanishad says, Yasya jnanamayam tapaha, tapasa chiyate brahma. All these things are there. We will not go, then the main thing will be lost. So, Ajaha, this is another statement. Ajaha means which does not have birth. In this universe, in the objective universe, you won't get anything which does not have birth. Everything is born. The whole universe is born. Born means where? From somewhere. Again a parinama srishti is coming from somewhere. It dies also. But ajaha is only the consciousness. which is not in the objectude at all. Ajaha means unborn. Which is unborn will be undying also and unchanging also. So anything ajaha will not be found in the objective universe, in the objectude. Only the consciousness can be ajaha. Nitya, there is no question of not being present in some time. Time comes within it. It is transcending time. It is transcending space. It is transcending causality. Shashvataha. Shashvataha means it always the same. Eternally the same. Puranaha. From any ancient time, you cannot miss it any time. Time has come in this. You cannot say, when did the time begin? That question is wrong. Because if you can say, when the time began, then already time was there. You don't understand this? This is what Vichara will do. You will understand the fallacy of these statements. Time is cyclic. It is always going on. Only when you go beyond the causal chain, only when you go to the transcendental level, you see the time causal universe floating in this. Time, there is no origin. It is cyclic. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So, giving Nachiketa right in the beginning the ultimate truth that you are immortal. This is what the Guru does. That he says that there is no decay. You are immortal. He says, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body is killed, it doesn't kill, it doesn't die, nothing happens to it. One who kills something, he doesn't kill. If he dies, the body dies, he doesn't die. See, each Upanishad has got its own. Here in Kathopanishad, Nachiketa is a small boy, 7-year-old or 8-year-old. And Yamaraja is the instructor. So Yamaraja had to test him that whether he is deserving for the knowledge or not. And the test goes on for a few chapters. Towards the end only the message starts. Whereas in Mundakopanishad, just one line is said, that Shaunako havai mahashalaha angirasam vidhivat upasannah papracha. That mahashalaha means a great householder. These are important statements of the Shastras. Who is a great householder? Who has grown following all the Vedic prescriptions, has grown through his household life. Normally after brahmacharya, the option is there whether you will take to sannyasa or unmarried, remain unmarried, or you will take to the usual path of earning money and fulfilling your desires and living the household life. But after living the household life, fulfilling everything, if you have lived the household life properly, naturally the mind will inquire about the truth, because all the desires have been exhausted by then. So the principle was by 40 years or 50 years, people should take to vanaprastha and live a life of tapasya, leaving everything. If he finds that he is fit, then he will take to sannyasa finally. That was the ashramas. Now, Shaunako havai mahashala means who has lived a proper household life and gifted enough, used everything liberally, followed all dharmic codes, everything he has done. So he is more or less fulfilled about the worldly life. He doesn't have any lack there. So naturally he wants to know now that in my studies, in my brahmacharya, I have learnt about this highest truth which has to be realized. And to going to a realized knower guru, only one can know it. So he looks for a knower and finds Angirasa sitting in the hermitage. So he approaches Angirasa. And how does he approach? With lot of humility, carrying some firewood and all for him. That was the practice there, according to Vedic prescription. So a great householder, when he approaches a saint also, he will approach with all the sadachara prescribed in the Vedas, because he is going to ask for the ultimate in life. Even if he is a king, he will remove his armory, he will remove his all adorning, ornaments, everything. And on barefoot, he will carry some firewood and approach the saint and humbly ask him, "Oh sir, whatever he wants to ask. Now here, what is Shaunaka asking? He doesn't ask that, may my son have a good job, or the marriage is not happy, can he get another wife who will be happier? Nothing of the world he is asking. He is asking, kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati iti. O Bhagavaha, kasmin vijñāte sati sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Oh sir, by knowing what, everything will become known. Because he had the idea that if we know the truth of the soul, truth of the Brahman, then we will not have any more query. We may try to know what is there in the camera or what is made of, the glass is made of, that is different. But about the life, there won't be any more enquiry about the goal of life or whatever. So his question is nothing related to the world. His question is related to the ultimate truth. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati iti. All will be known. So naturally, here is a mature person who has exhausted his desires and coming with all the sadachara of a disciple who should come, approach a saint in a manner, everything is seen. Then the Guru knows that he is a right receptacle. He is a deserving person who can be given the knowledge. These things are discussed in Upanishad, in Viveka Chudamani, in various cases. When time is there, we will read. So, he starts the message right away. That is why we find in the 6th verse itself, after speaking something, there are 2 kinds of vidya, aparavidya and paravidya. And how this has happened, that has happened, etc. That parampara is given, how did Angiras come, all those are 5 shlokas in the beginning. The 6th shloka itself, the ultimate truth is given in a very, very subtle and erudite form. So we should take by heart this shloka also, although it is from Upanishad. Yattadadreshyamagrahyam
Yattadadreshyamagrahyam
Agotramavarnam Achakshushrotram Tadapanipadam Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam Tadavyayam Yat Bhutayonim Paripashyanti Dhiraha See, the last you see, Dhiraha Paripashyanti. Those who are wise, they see. Pashyanti is they see. Paripashyanti means they see everywhere, all around. So the truth is not to be seen in the idol, not to be seen only in dhyana within. Understand? These are very important. Instead of pashyanti, he has used just paripashyanti, one small prefix. And it makes the whole meaning. Generally we find the truth in meditation, samadhi hua. Or we find in the temple, Bhagwan darshan hua. The truth is not everywhere. But this truth, the ultimate truth is pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. It cannot be missed anywhere because all perceptions are, the substratum is this truth. Any perception cannot take place without this truth. So he has to see the truth everywhere. Paripashyanti dhiraha paripashyanti. They see everywhere, all around. Now what do they see? That what kind of thing or whatever it is. He says, Yat tad adreshyam. Adreshyam means which cannot be seen. Now, when they say adreshyam, we have to understand that it cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be touched, cannot be smelled, cannot be tasted. All the 5 sense organs. That means the truth cannot be perceived by any of the 5 sense organs. We say, but still we want to see the self or see God. Truth cannot be seen. Anything seen is limited. It is here and it is not there. So it is an object. It might be a subtle object, but it is an object which is revealed, not the revealer. Adreshyam, agrahyam, that means which cannot be grasped. That means cannot be grasped by hand, cannot be kicked by the legs. So all karmendriya also you cannot do anything with the karmendriyas. That is, it is not within the scope of the jnanendriyas, the sense organs. So it cannot be perceived by any of the organs of knowledge. It cannot be grasped by any of the organs of action. So one word they will use. The whole lot 5 has to be imagined. Agrahyam, agotram. What is gotra? Lineage. That means the causality. It doesn't have any gotra, because then it will be a causal, it is following a causal chain. It is a causeless. Avarnam. Varna means color. See, you are seeing because of the varna difference. Is it not so? Or say in the, where it is clear, refractive index difference also you will see. That is also varna. So varna is fragmenting the world. Is it not so? The color is the fragmenting the world. So it is not, avarnam means it cannot be limited by anything. There is no boundary, there is no color difference, no fragmentation. It is beyond all fragmentation. Now, that is all the properties of an object. That means it is free of all object properties. Dravya guna varjitaha. Dravya guna varjita, Vishaya guna varjita. That means all the objective properties which can be perceived by the sense organs or handled by the organs of action, or which has causality, time limitation, causality, space limitation by varna. So it is beyond space, time, all those object qualities, object parameters. This is in just half a line they have said. Then they are saying, Achakshu Shrotram Tadapani Padam. It does not have eyes or the ears, that means all the sense organs, and Apani Padam. It doesn't have hands and feet. So it doesn't have any of the sense organs. Initially it cannot be perceived by the sense organs. Now he is saying it doesn't have also any of the sense organs. It doesn't have any of the organs of action. That means it is the Vishayi Gunavarjita. That is, it is the free of all Kartritva and Bhoktritva. We have doership, we have enjoyship. It doesn't have that also. That is Kartri Gunavarjita. The other one was Dravya Gunavarjita, Vishaya Gunavarjita. Here it is Kartri Bhoktri Gunavarjita. So it is not only not any object, it cannot be a seer, doer, anything of that sort also. We think that the God is sitting in the yonder sky, he is a superhuman being doing all these things. So they are eliminating that. Such a concept, if you proceed, then you will not reach the truth. You have to transcend all those concepts. We are going and praying to God that he will listen and set it right. Before we pray, does not the God know? Whatever we are praying, God knows before that what I want and what I am praying. He has to listen from there. So these are all treating with those concepts, that we are proceeding from the religious level to the spiritual level. So all the religious concepts have to be transcended. Not that they are wrong, but now we have gone to the higher class. So whatever we have learned in a limited sense, they have to be just like science. Newton's law पढ़ा दिया, बाद में जाके Einstein पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Newton's law is limited. Like that here also. So he doesn't have any of these. Then what else? What does it have? These are all negative. They negated all the Dravya Guna and Kartri Bhoktri Guna. That we don't know of anything else in this. So everything is eliminated. Now what is it then? He says Nityam. Nityam means always there. Actually here also a correction is needed. If you want to realize, these corrections are important. When we say always there, actually it is a limited statement. We have to say it is beyond time. It is transcending time. Always means we are working within time. That concept we have to overcome. It is beyond time. It is not within time that we say always. We are saying Nityam because the words have to be within the fold of mind. But Nityam here means which transcends time. Vibhum. Vibhum means which contains all the forms. Vibhu means who has become whatever we see, all the forms. So if it has become all the forms, means it doesn't have its own form. Or better expression will be which transcends all forms. It is formful, all form, as well as formless. So if you say it doesn't have form, means formless. नहीं, formless भी नहीं, उनसे ही सारा forms हुआ है. So everywhere we have to have the transcendental approach. I am telling all this to you so that you can read the Shastras and master. If you, one thing you understand how to read the Shastras, you will hammer the words and get all the meanings from there. This is the way the Shastras have to be studied. So Vibhum means not formless or not formful. It transcends all the forms. Transcends the formlessness also. Transcends the concept of form. That is the correct. Sarvagatam, that means it is all pervading. Again a limited statement. If all is there, then only it will pervade all. Is all there, all are appearing in it. It is not that although we use the expression that he is percolating in all the objects, he is there in all the objects. We are using in a limited sense. We are saying sarvagatam. But truly speaking, sarvagatam, the sarva is appearing in the consciousness. So saying sarvagatam is not it's a limited statement. Sarvagatam means it is transcending space. Transcend the concept of space. The concept of time, the concept of space, the concept of God, everything is appearing in the consciousness. The whole world idea is concept in the consciousness. Is it not? Space, time, God, everything is in consciousness. When Rabindranath Tagore was speaking to Einstein, Einstein could not understand it. You read the report, the one German person had recorded it. After the whole conversation, he says, I think the two saints are not understanding each other. Because Rabindranath was speaking Vedanta, but Einstein was limited to his God concept of God and all. No, his concept of God was limited. It was published in Bhavan's journal of recently also, although it is known, very well known. Nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam. Susukshmam. Sukshma means subtle. Susukshmam means very subtle. But again we have to apply the same rule here. If you think subtle, you will say water is subtler than the glass. It percolates everywhere. Gas or the air is subtler than water. Or electromagnetic wave is subtler than the water, air, everything. So like that we proceed to subtler to subtler to subtler. But as long as you are thinking in this term, subtler to subtler, you are thinking only of the objective world. That this is subtler than this. It is not the object. It is which is revealing the subtle, revealing the subtler, revealing the gross. It is grosser than the grossest, subtler than the subtlest. All the idea of grossness, subtleness, everything, subtlety, all are in it. All the concepts are in it. So it is transcending the concept of subtle and gross. Means susukshmam. Tad avyayam, this is very important. Tad avyayam yad bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhiraha. Last word is tad avyayam. Avyayam yad bhuta yonim. It is the bhuta yoni and avyaya bhuta yoni. This we have to understand very well. Bhuta yoni. Yoni means source. Womb. So, Bhuta Yoni means from where the whole universe has come. That is the source of the universe. But what kind of a source? The moment you say source of the universe means the material of the universe are coming out of it. Like as a black hole, the materials of the universe are going in. Here it is coming out of it. Big Bang. No. He says it is an avyaya source. Avyaya means unchanging. Now, just now I explained that in Parinama Srishti, in the material creation, there cannot be any cause which is unchanging. So, he is specifying here that this is a source, but it is not the source in the material sense. It is Abhyaya. When the whole world is displayed, this does not undergo any change at all. So, can we call it source? Yes, it is the substratum on which, or even if you say substratum, you will think of object. So we have to remember that it is not the object, but in which the whole display is taking place. All our words are limited, all our expressions are limited, because it is transcending this dual, plural universe. It is a transcendental reality. So this avyayam bhuta yonim is one word we have to remember. That is why it is aja. It never gets born. It is amrita. It never dies. Because there is no change. Avyaya means no change. Birth is a change. Death is a change. Jara, everything is a change. In this case, there is no change. While displaying the universe, it doesn't undergo any change. That is why the closest example is the dream creation. Because of that, when in dream you are seeing that the whole world is under a nuclear explosion, everything is getting destroyed, you get up, nothing has happened to your mind. Not only that, it is a timeless creation. Suppose in dream you see a spacecraft which you have never seen in your own life. I am given to dreaming very all beautiful and different kinds of spacecrafts coming down here, there, huge. It's a nature, I think, you see. Now, to create that, I don't have to follow any causality. It just appears. And is there any time that you have first thought of the spacecraft and then thought about, it appeared? Or it appeared first and then you thought about it? The sequence is not there. Sankalpa. It is a Sankalpa Srishti. It's together. It is timeless. It is transcending time. That is why the dream example is given. In the consciousness, the whole universe appears. It is Brahma's Sankalpa, we say. That is, it is also a non-material Srishti. In the Avyaya Atma, there the whole universe appears to be. So if you have understood this, this will help you in understanding the Kathopanishad. I don't have to come back again and again. Go to the next verse. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan.
Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan.
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam.
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam.
Tamakratuh pashyati vita shoko.
Tamakratuh pashyati vita shoko.
Dhatu prasadan mahimanamatmanaha.
Dhatu prasadan mahimanamatmanaha.
See, these all we have done. It is from the done portion of Kathopanishad. He says, Anoho aniyan. Means it is subtler than the subtlest. It is lesser than the atoms. That means from the smallest, it is smaller. It can be only comparative like that, because you cannot ever reach. Actually, it is transcending that smallness also. Mahato Mahiyan, it is bigger than the biggest also. They have deliberately put these contradictory ideas. In the objective world, is there anything? It's smaller than the smallest and the bigger than the biggest. It is their space which hosts the smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest, but not in this sense. So, contradictions are given so that you start looking beyond contradiction. The solution lies when we reach beyond contradiction, because it is transcending the smallness, largeness, everything. They are all in the objectitude. It is the revealer of smallness. It is the revealer of largeness. It is the revealer of grossness. It is the revealer of subtlety. It is the revealer of good. It is the revealer of bad. It is the revealer of saintlyhood. It is the revealer of criminality. It transcends everything. Mahato Mahiyan Atma Asya. Then what is this? If it is like that, can we ever realize that? If it is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest, we cannot see the microscopic thing also. And we cannot go to the astronomical level also. Then should we become depressed that self can never be attained? No. He says, but jantoho guhayam nihitaha. In everybody's guha, hrid guha and buddhi guha, he is hiding in the cavern of our hridaya or buddhi. Both are used. When we approach it through vichara understanding, we call it buddhi guha. When we approach it through our emotion, we call it hrid guha. Hridaya is the seat of emotion and buddhi is the seat of analysis and vichara. So it is seated right within us. not only within us, it is the self, where from the I is coming. The distance with it is zero. It cannot be more than zero. But then, if it is seated in everybody's Hrid Guha and Buddhi Guha, then why are we not able to see it? Why there is so many Upanishads and Vedas and all, and people are struggling to see, struggling to know, and they are not able to know why it is so? They have given the link. Dhamaktatuhu pashyati vita shokaha dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmana. This you should take by heart. It's very, very important, this second line. We have quoted so many times. Akratuhu means desireless. Kratuhu means desire. Kratuhu means jajna also. The other day, yesterday I explained that jajnas people do out of desire. So even the name of jajna is also given kratuhu, means desire. So akratuhu, a person becomes akratuhu when he does not have any desire at all, desireless. So he says that tam akratuhu pashyati, who sees? A desireless person sees. See how the whole philosophy finally ends up in desirelessness. Because just now I have said that it is the bhoga pravritti. It is that tendency to always look for something outside which will fulfill me, that is hindering our sadhana. So unless we become akratuhu, we are not able to discover it. Vita shokaha, he becomes freed of all shokaha, not suffering. Shokaha means depression, grief. He will have suffering, he will have sadness, but he will be not overwhelmed by grief or depression. In happiness, he will be happy, but he will not be elated. In suffering, he will be happy in a way. He will enjoy happiness also. Taking it, embracing the happiness, he will become expanded further. Suffering makes us more, makes us deeper. The enjoyment is much deeper than happiness enjoyment. When you read or see some film of sorrow, are you not enjoying at a deeper level than a fun film? So, how do they see? Dhatu prasadat atmanaha mahimanam pashyati. Dhatu prasadat. Dhatu means the elements of our being. That means our mind, emotion, buddhi, the elements with which our personality is made. Sharira also, body also. Dhatu prasadat means when the elements of our being becomes purified, it starts radiating a prasada, a placidity. Prasada means placidity. Prasada means ananda we speak of. There is a joy. It is not the usual joy, but it is a placidity. The joy is called the placidity. A blessedness, a feeling of blessedness. A cool blessedness. All the elements, they become pure. So his being becomes pure. By that purity of his being, by the dhatu prasadat, when the elements of his being gets purified, becomes placid, then what does he see? Atmanaha mahimanam pashyati. Whatever mahima, the glories of the Atma I have been describing, Yamaraja was describing, all those glories he understands. He sees. He sees means not there that he sees, oh, these are the Atma's glory. It becomes his own. So it is a anubhava, not pashyati. It is feeling of all the mahimas because they become his mahima, his real identity, the mahima of his real identity, the glory of his real identity. So this is very important, that tam akratu, when we become desireless, then by that desirelessness will purify our being, because our being is impure, because it is hosting various kinds of desire. The body is hosting desire, the vital parts are hosting desire, the buddhi is hosting desire, the mind is hosting desire, the emotions are hosting desire. Everywhere there is fragmentation, limitedness, raga dvesha. When everything gets purified, then he knows the glory of the Atma, it becomes his. So he realizes the glory of the Atma. Correspondingly, I have given Mundaka Upanishad. Why? The similar statement confirming that. Na chakshusha grihyate napi vacha
न चक्षुषा गृह्यते नापि वाचा
नान्यैर्देवैस्तपसा कर्मणा va
नान्यैर्देवैः तपसा कर्मणा वा
ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्धसत्त्वः
ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्धसत्त्वः
ततस्तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः
ततस्तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः
न चक्षुषा गृह्यते नापि वाचा. Now see how the two are linked. Again, Mundaka Upanishad is saying it cannot be seen by the chakshu, by the eyes, chakshusha. Napi vacha, even if you go through all the words of the Upanishads and the interpretation and explanations and listen to all the words of the saints and all, no. Napi vacha, by the words it cannot be had. Na annaihi devahi, not by worshipping any of the devas or any other brilliance, sun or anything at all. None of the objective things. Tapasa, karmanaba. Even by doing the hardest of the austerities, tapas, or the greater and greater karmas, yaga, yajna, or ruling the kingship, a very good king, no. A first boy, no. Nothing. It cannot be seen by anything at all. Then how it is to be known? Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha. Jnana prasadena? Jnana prasadena, by the prasada, by the placidity arising out of the knowledge. See, its knowledge is not a theoretical knowledge. Knowledge must generate the placidity in us, must remove all the desires haunting us, seated deep within our heart. Everything should be clarified, everything should become cleansed. Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattva. If you go on chanting jnana prasadena, if mind remains, you go on chanting jnana prasadena vishuddha sattva, you will find that it will help you getting that vishuddha sattva state. Vishuddha sattva is not the extreme sattva guna. The tamoguna, rajoguna, sattva guna, the three gunas, when you become gunatita, then you become vishuddha sattva. Vishuddha sattva here means the being becoming pure. The being becoming pure means he becomes gunatita actually. It is not the sattva guna is very heightened. Even if the sattva guna is at its peak, this will not happen. You have to transcend the sattva guna also by the jnana prasada, by the prasada of the knowledge, the placidity coming out of the wisdom, the knowledge of the soul, of the truth. Then what happens? Tatastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanaha. Then he sees. How does he see? Nishkalam dhyayamanaha. That is, as if in meditation, it need not be dhyana. But dhyana on what? That is important. Nishkalam. If you meditate on a form, on a part, on this or that, no. Nishkalam means where there is no fragmentation, no division, no limitation. It is that kind of a dhyana. When in that he finds that nishkalam dhyayamanaha, there he sees the mahima of the Atma, the glory of the Atma, by the jnana prasada becoming vishuddha sattva. So we should try to relate like this from the different Upanishads. I could have given from Shvetashvatara and others also. But it will be prolonged. I have to finish within a certain time. But when you are reading, don't hurry. You take from different Shastras, match them, see what is more here, what is less here. Why did they say add one more word here? What is the reason? Everything has to be gone into. This is the way the jnana prasada will dawn. That we recite. That vishuddha sattvasya gunaha prasadaha and other things. So there it is, vishuddha sattva when we become, then the prasada dawns. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudhotmana prakashate
गूढोत्मान प्रकाशते
drishyate tvagraya buddhya
दृश्यते त्वग्रया बुद्ध्या
सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः.
सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः.
He says that esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudha atma na prakashate. This atma is there in everything, but it is gudha, it is hiding. Na prakashate, it is not seen. It is not seen means it is not a property of the atma. It is our delusion because our focus is on the small things. Our Shastras say, like the eagle, from the top it looks into the dead body. From such great height, and the moment it sees, comes down and eats that. So in the vastness of the sky, it doesn't look into the vastness. It looks for a dead body. Like that we are also, in the vastness of the soul, of the consciousness, the vast space which we have within us, we are looking for, oh, isko kya gali de, usko kya prashamsa kare. Chota, chota, sab dead bodies. नहीं? तो उसको बदलना है. दृश्यते तु अग्रया बुद्ध्या सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः. It is seen by the subtle seers, but not by the eyes. Agraya buddhya. Sukshmaya. Agraya buddhya. Agraya means which has been sharpened. The buddhi has been sharpened. And Sukshmaya means the buddhi has been made subtle by this constant contemplation of the soul, understanding the philosophy of, understanding the concept of the soul, always going to the transcendental level. The buddhi starts becoming subtle and sharp so that the truth floats in it like the butter floating in the buttermilk. By churning, finally you get the Navanita. Butter is called Navanita, and this is called Kaivalya Navanita. Butter is called Navanita, and this knowledge is called Kaivalya Navanita. Once it is had, you remain in the world, never getting mixed again with the world. The butter floats, it doesn't get mixed in the buttermilk anymore. So when it is churned and made into the lump of butter, the Kaivalya Navanita you get. That is the corresponding prasada or placidity. Saying all that, he is trying to inspire us because we don't get inspired. What can the Rishi do? He always tries to inspire. Vasishtadeva says that with 2 hands raised, I am shouting, but nobody is there to listen to me. Poor Vasishtha. That is the fate everywhere. He says, Uttishtata jagrata prapya varan nibodhata kshurasya dhara nishita duratya durgam pathastat kavayoho vadanti. Kavayoho vadanti. The kavis say, kavi means not just poet. Kavi means krantadarshi. Those who sees everything. He sees beyond. Not their drishti is not limited to the small objective field, to the ragadvesha and attraction and repulsion of the world. They see far beyond. They are Krantadarshis. They say, what do they say? Kavayoho vadanti. Kshurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam pathastat. This path, although it is simple and straightforward, at the same time, it is like the razor's edge. Somerset Maugham has taken the name from Kathopanishad. Razor's edge. It is like the razor's edge, kshurasya dhara, and not only just the razor's edge, but nishita means sharpened razor's edge. Duratyaya, that means to cross over such a sharp razor's edge is very, very difficult because there are so many attractions around, so many repulsions around which will cut you, you will fall from the razor's edge. Not only duratyaya, to cross over is difficult. Then he is further adding, durgam. Forget about crossing over. Even to walk on it is difficult because our eyes, our mind, our attractions will always be on the, like the naughty horse looking at the grass always and going beyond, away from the road, coming down from the road and eating grass. So we are trying to be on the road, but all the indriyas are always, not only indriyas, the mind particularly, they are always looking for bhoga pravritti, bhogecha, bhoga vishayas, bhoga rati. So naturally it becomes difficult. Otherwise it's not difficult. It is the simplest, the straightest path. Therefore, uttishtata jagrata, arise, awake, prapya varan nibodhata. Try to find out a vara, a shrestha, a saint who has known the truth. Nibodhata, going to him, know without any doubt remaining, doubtlessly. As long as nibodhata means nisheshena bodhata. It is not just once we have got an experience and ho gaya, abhi to theek hai, hum abhi guru ban gaye hain. जैसा एग्जाम्पल उस दिन देते थे, ऐसा नहीं है. निबोधता, निशेष न बोधता, till a dot of doubt is there, it is not. Till the end, be in the company of the Shrestha. Manasai vedam aptavyam neha nanasti kinchana mrityoh sa mrityum gacchati yahya naneva pashyati. It has to be known by the mind itself. Although one we are saying that it is beyond the mind. See, contradictions. It is beyond the words, beyond the minds. Yato vacho nivartate aprapya manasasaha. All these statements are there, where from the mind comes back, the words come back. That means it cannot be expressed by the mind. It cannot be known by the mind. But he is saying manasaiva, only by the mind. Manasai vedam aptavyam. Manasa eva idam aptavyam. It has to be attained by the mind. Then what is the difference? The mind which has been purified and has been made able to grasp the transcendental truth, the non-dual reality. So purified mind which has become Vishuddha Sattva. Neha nanasti kinchana. By that mind it will be known that there is no multiplicity, no plurality at all. The whole plural universe is appearing on the consciousness alone. There is no plurality at all. Mrityoh sa mrityum gacchati yahya naneva pashyati. One who sees truth in this nanatva, that one whose mind or drishti or vision is fixed in this multiplicity, he moves from death to death. Why? Because his mind is always haunted by causal things. Causal things means the cause dies and the effect is born. It is not only the bodily death to death. Everywhere he sees change. That means death to death, birth and death. So one who sees nanatva, he moves from death to death. So I have given it particularly to remember that manasai vedam aptavyam. It has to be known by the mind, but not by the ordinary mind in the clutch of duality, in the clutch of worldliness. When the mind goes with the help of the viveka buddhi, when the mind becomes vishuddha, it goes beyond the duality, then that mind is able to grasp it. Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrigeva bhavati evam muner vijanata atma bhavati gautama. This is at the end of that chapter where up to which we have studied. Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrigeva bhavati evam muner vijanata atma bhavati gautama. I was very fond of this shloka. From what age I don't know. I used to chant repeatedly. It gives me a very placid feeling. It says that as pure water poured in pure water. Suppose you have a vessel of pure water and from a glass you are pouring pure water. What happens? It merges. You cannot identify that this is Ganga water, this is Yamuna water. In Triveni also we try to identify. Oh, this is Ganga passing, this is Yamuna coming. Because our drishti is always on Bheda buddhi, differential notion. But here they are saying when it is poured, it gets merged. Like that, tadrigeva bhavati, it becomes like that. Evam vijanataha munehe atma. Oh Gautama, he is calling Nachiketa as Gautama. He was belonging to Gautama Vamsha. Oh Gautama, vijanataha munehe atma evam bhavati. person, Muni, a thoughtful person, Muni, a seeker, who has known the Atma, known the truth, his Atma becomes like this. That means his Atma is no longer the Jiva, separated, segregated from all others by the body, mind, personality. But he becomes the universal identity, just like the pure water poured into the pure water. It gets merged in the Brahman or the Atma, the universal Atma. Actually, when we say Atma, the Atma word means Vyapnoti iti Atma. The limited expression is only for Jiva. Jiva is when the Atma is expressed through the body, mind, personality, we call it Jiva. Otherwise, Atma word means all-pervading, everywhere. Atma, Paramatma, Brahman, all are same. But Paramatma, Atma, we refer to the identity, individuality, and Brahman, we refer to the substratum of the whole universe. But both are same. Shankaracharya says that half shlok mein hum bata denge. Shlokardhena pravakshami yaduktam granthakotibihi brahma satyam yagan mithya jivo brahmaivana paraha. I will tell you in half a shloka what is spoken of in koti crores of granthas, books. I will tell you in half the shloka. So half the shloka to ho gaya isme na. श्लोकार्धेन प्रवक्ष्यामि यदुक्तम ग्रंथ कोटि भी, हाफ श्लोका चला गया, so बाकी हाफ में बताना है. नेक्स्ट हाफ ही विल से ब्रह्म सत्यम जगन मिथ्या. द ब्रह्मन इज द truth and jagat is mithya. Mithya means that it is not there, it is not so. Mithya means what it appears to be, it is not there, it is an appearance in consciousness. Jivo brahmaivana paraha. And what we are considering to the jiva encapsulated by the body, mind, personality, in effect it is Brahman alone, na aparaha, nothing different from that at all. It is our limited vision entangled with the body, mind, personality, which makes our Atma small as Jiva. Similarly, the corresponding shloka we do during the Arati, that is from Mundakopanishad. Yatha nadyasyanamana samudre
Yasyandamana samudre
astam gachanti nama rupe vihaya
Astam gachanti nama rupe vihaya
tatha vidvan nama rupad vimuktaha
Tatha vidwan nama rupad vimuktaha
parat param purushamupaiti divyam.
Parat param purushamupaiti divyam.
He says that as the rivers, the flowing rivers, when they come to the when they meet the sea, what happens? It's just like that. You can no longer identify from the dirty water is flowing in, the muddy water is flowing in, the clear water is flowing in. They all become the saline sea water. No difference at all anymore. Yatha nadyas sanyamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupe vihaya. They go into it, losing their nama and rupa. It is Ganga, this is looking like this. This is Yamuna, it is looking like this. No more Ganga, Yamuna, it has become the sea. That means the individuality, the limited individuality is no more there. It has got merged in the universal level. That is what happens to the Atma. Tatha vidwan, a person who has become a knower, who has actualized the knowledge, realized the truth. He also namarupad vimuktaha. He gets freed from the namarupa. Each person has got his nama and rupa. That is his identity generally. He gets released from his identity, freed from his identity. Parat param purushamupaiti divyam. He attains the supreme Purusha. He no longer remains a Purusha encapsulated by the body, mind, personality, but gets merged in the supreme Purusha. This is from Mundakopanishad. Om Sahana Vavatu
Om Sahana Vavatu
Sahano Bhunaktu
Sahano Bhunaktu
Sahaviryam Karavavahai
Sahaviryam Karavavahai
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा विद्विषावहै
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
हरि